Today we're going to cover some technical analysis for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a few altcoins. But first, let's go and look at the overall market. So we can see SUI is at the top of trending, up 13%. If you didn't see my recent tweet, I posted about they have some unlocks on September 1st, as well as a few unlocks for SEI and TIA, two of the other coins that have been pumping nicely. So keep an eye on that and check that tweet out if you haven't. But we can see Ethereum right now is outperforming Bitcoin, up 1.8% versus negative 1.2% respectively. So we're actually going to cover some charts for this. Then looking at 24-hour gainers, you can see that, again, Celestia and SUI are near the top with SEI. So again, guys, check that tweet I posted about the unlocks. Very, very good to know, and always have to know when these unlocks are because a lot of coins end up pumping before them, so VCs have exit liquidity. But seeing sats right now is up 22%, so keep an eye for BRC20 and ordinals. Those could catch a bid, especially as Bitcoin approaches that 68 to 70K level. Now, let's look at some TA. So we can see Bitcoin dominance. It nearly reached our resistance level of 57.7%. Every time Bitcoin dominance has rejected off of this resistance or broken through support, we've seen Ethereum rise much more versus Bitcoin on a percentage basis. So what I'm expecting here is to start see Ethereum and altcoins outperforming Bitcoin. And that's something as well that we can see here on the Ethereum BTC chart. So you can see right now the ETHBTC chart is starting to bounce off this 0.043 level. And actually, if you look at this trend line on the weekly, you can see this trend line rejected once, twice, 3 times. It broke above it, and now it's acted as support once, twice, 3 times, and now a 4th time it's bounced. So this is extremely bullish in my opinion. I believe we'll continue to see Ethereum outperform Bitcoin over the short term, and definitely think alts will follow suit. So keep an eye on this. We do have this 2-year trend line right now that I am still watching, expecting Ethereum BTC to reject off this trend line and then potentially consolidate up until the end of December, where I believe we'll start to break out of it going into the new year. Next, let's go ahead and look at the USDT dominance. So right now, you can see it's right at that support level. Now, USDT dominance measures how many people are getting in or out of stablecoins. So right now, it's just hovering above that support level, which means people are still hesitant in the market. They are still keeping their stables versus investing in Bitcoin and alts. But I do want to point something out. Is right now you can see the RSI on the weekly is actually looking like a little double top or even a bearish divergence. So the USDT dominance made a higher high, whereas the RSI is making a lower high. So this is a bearish divergence, which means we should see the USDT dominance roll over. Now we're going to have to see what happens on the weekly, if this continues higher on the RSI or if it ends up confirming and we break back to the downside, which would be very bullish for Bitcoin and altcoins. Now looking at the TOTAL3 chart. So this is a fractal that I've been posting about and one that's been playing out to a T. Basically, you can see here in 2021, 2022, we had this little trend line. It bounced once, twice, then it broke through, and then we had it reject 3 times off of this downtrend. You can see here it bounced once, twice, broke through, and then we rejected 3 times off of this downtrend. Now, I'm still expecting us to bounce higher and potentially see a small rally over the next few weeks because of this bullish divergence on the RSI. So we had a nice bounce there. You can see this RSI has been a long-term trend line since June of 2022 and has bounced every time. So at the very least, I'm expecting some short-term relief, potentially bouncing another 10 to 15% up to the $630 billion level, which would also coincide with a 10 to 15% move in Bitcoin before potentially forming another downtrend and consolidating downward all the way until the end of the year before starting the bull run of 2025 if the fractal does play out. So keeping an eye on that as well. And then also looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum here. So you can see Bitcoin on the weekly, it has rejected off of this red trend line. And right now, if we do keep playing this out, then I could see another bounce up to that 67, 68K level. A lot of people are watching this, and I do believe that we will see it in due time. But again, we do need to hold this 58.2K level. So this 58.2K level has been strong support. And you can see we wicked below on this trend line. We bounced at about 52K. Then we closed above this 58.2K on the weekly. So if we cannot hold this on the weekly, then I believe we'll be revisiting this trend line down at about 53K, which again, a lot of people will be front running because there's a lot of support near 50 to 52. And then potentially from there, bouncing back up. But either way, I am expecting us to potentially have a bounce here on Bitcoin. You can see right now, I did draw this head and shoulders pattern. So basically what would happen here is we start to grind up, hit this 68K level, go back down, and then bounce around this 58K, back up to around 61.8 and then back down. So potentially this could be a move I'm seeing. Again, watching it closely. Obviously depends on tensions in the Middle East, interest rates, and everything like that. But could see this considering there's a lot of liquidity on the upside still. So keep an eye on that. And then looking at Ethereum. So we mentioned it's been performing strongly versus Bitcoin. One of the biggest telltale signs was here. Whenever we had that drop, you can see here that on the weekly, Ethereum bounced perfectly off of this weekly support at 2170. And then it actually closed above this support of 2500. So right now, I'm watching this signal line on the RSI because we can see once we broke below it, it has acted as resistance twice. So I'm still expecting us to reach it, potentially break once it reaches this trend line here, or signal line. But until then, I can imagine we'll see some good price appreciation. Near-term resistance is going to be that 2850 level, followed by that psychological $3,000 level. So keep an eye on these two levels. But again, I do believe Ethereum can start outperforming versus Bitcoin. And then looking at Solana here. So Solana actually had a nice bounce as well. Had a good close on the weekly. You can see above that 137 level. Next level I'm targeting is this 154, followed by this 170. So Solana, same thing. It's below its signal line, so looking forward to retest it. But guys, keep an eye on this because it looks like it did lose some steam versus Ethereum right now. So we could see a rotation. Have to keep an eye on it. But again, I am looking near term at this 154 level. And finally, we do have TON. So TON recently got listed on Binance about 4 days ago. And since then, it bounced nicely from that 560 level all the way up to 680. And since then, it's been consolidating just above this support level. So it's something I'm watching very closely on the weekly, the 625 level. And you can see right here on the RSI as well, anytime it's been below the signal line on the RSI, it's rejected at least twice before breaking above, bounced once, and then rejected once. And now we're looking to approach that signal line again. So potentially looking for another rejection once it reaches this. But right now, looking for it to close above 625, but then my next resistance is going to be around the $7 mark. So if you're bullish on TON, again, I'd probably wait for this close on 625. I'd look for buy orders around 560 and then 480 as well if it does get there above the 50 EMA. So watching TON very closely as well. But as you can see, guys, there's a lot of action going on. Again, a lot of rotations are happening, so just keep that in mind. Stay away from leverage. It's very volatile. The next few months are going to be very volatile. August and September have historically been a bearish month. So you can see, if you actually look down, go to CoinGlass here, we can actually see for the monthly returns, if you check those out, that historically you can see that August and September have been bearish months, with September being the most bearish. So again, we could potentially see that, but I do still believe we could have some upside short term in August for Bitcoin, and then potentially leading in September, have another downside, and potentially pump towards the middle of October, getting closer to those elections. So keep an eye on that. But guys, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you liked the video, please give it a like. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Appreciate all my subscribers. Until next time, thanks for watching.